Сейчас, секундочку, я буквально увижу. Все, стрим пошел. Запускаем. Здравствуйте, здравствуйте все. В эфире.
Hello to everyone. So UNESCO Bureau Almaty. My name is Majar Matsanov, and we are beginning our fifth discussion within the framework of ResiliArt, and which is dedicated to the operation of museum organizations and its staff during pandemics of coronavirus. So before we remind ourselves what ResiliArt movement is, which was launched by UNESCO at a global level and has three main tasks. It's first of all awareness about COVID in the cultural sector and its impact on the cultural workers and art workers. And the second thing is to provide the platform so their voices could be heard in order to resolve issues and to satisfy their needs. And the third thing is help make strategic decisions and provide assistance in resolving issues for the art sector or cultural sector. I would like to remind everyone that each series of debates is being recorded, and all these records are uploaded onto YouTube channels, UNESCO Almaty. So please, I invite everyone to actually listen to our discussions and other discussions which were organized within the framework for ResiliArt all over the place, all over the world. And also, please look for our news. Look out for our news through our Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. And now I would like to give the word to Krzywicka, who is director of the UNESCO Cluster Bureau in Almaty, for her introduction or welcoming points.
Dear participants, colleagues, I'm so happy to see many of familiar faces. Thank you for taking our invitation and accepting our invitation and participating in our today's meeting. As Majer already mentioned, this is one of the debates that the UNESCO Almaty office organizes in the framework of the UNESCO Global ResiliArt movement. Since 15th of April 2020, when UNESCO launched this movement on the occasion of the World Art Day, we have actually organized globally 150 ResiliArt debates all around the world. And our office has participated actively in these discussions. And we, as Majer said, we are at our fifth debate. So we have had previously 4 discussions on different aspects related to cultural and creative industries in Central Asia. And I'm happy to report that we have actually had 27 different representatives of governmental authorities, private sector partners, associations of creative professionals, as well as individual experts who have participated in our previous debate. And I'm especially happy that when we look at the statistics of our previous participants, there are more women who have participated than men. So this also gives an indication of the important role that women play in the sector of cultural and creative industries. So today's debate will be focusing on the issues related to museum. As the UN specialized agency for culture, UNESCO, of course, has been very concerned about the impact that COVID-19 pandemic has had on cultural and creative industries worldwide. We have also monitored the situation here in Central Asia and know many of the challenges that these industry institutions, organizations, but also individuals working in these areas face. So we want to offer you a platform for discussion, for exchanges of experience, for possibilities to learn from each other, and also put your heads together and and design new approaches, new innovative approaches. When we speak about museums, of course, it has made many museums approach their contacts with the audience in another formats, be it online or through remote methods. So it's important that we try to be open and innovative, and that we also use this opportunity that we have become more online, more virtual, that we build on that experience and design the future museums already in another more more interactive presence also in the virtual world. Quoting International Center for the Study of the Preservation and Restoration of Cultural Property, ICOM, this is one of the advisory bodies of UNESCO, who says that there is a need for the museum sector to reposition itself and take concrete and bold steps to advance social, environmental, and economic sustainability in light of the pandemic, but also other recent global events. They further highlight that museums and their collections constitute one of the most powerful platforms for communities to meet, share, and mediate ideas. They can contribute to social cohesion, climate action, creative industries, and personal and collective well-being. So I think that in this statement of ICOM, it's obvious that there is a recognition globally that museums are no longer collections of items and artifacts that are displayed for the public to come and visit them, but it's that the museum's role has already pre-pandemic changed considerably, and they are really seen as important platforms for social exchanges, cultural exchanges, for dialogue between different ethnic communities, for education. So the fact that these platforms are no longer accessible to the public, of course, it poses an extra strain on the societies and communities, especially at the times when such exchanges and support of the community are so important. So finally, I would like to just mention that your discussions today and the ideas that you put forward will also inform our future programmatic action in the area. We are planning next year a series of different masterclasses and webinars in different areas related to cultural and creative industries, including museum. And we may want to revert to you to also collaborate in these efforts. And we would also like to gather these ideas and the concerns that are flagged in all our ResiliArt debates that we have organized, and use them also as an advocacy material that we would like to promote through different media outlets, so that we can really not only exchange amongst ourselves, but that we would also try to put forward some approaches and ideas to the cultural authorities and to the wide public for consideration. So thank you very much for accepting our invitation. Thank you very much for your contribution and your thoughts. I very much look forward to the debate today, and I'm very eager to hear your recommendations. Thank you.
Госпожа Пикат, большое спасибо.
Thank you very much. On behalf of myself, I would like to add that out of all these subjects or topics we discussed previously, museum operation during pandemic is the most often discussed globally theme. You know, first of all, it has to do with there are specialized international organizations working with UNESCO, which are doing a lot of work and raise this issue. For example, we can highlight several studies which was done by ICOM, which Krista mentioned, International Representative Center on Preservation and Restoration of Cultural Values. If anybody is interested, please, you can look at the online webinar, refer to online webinar, which is called Museums During Pandemic. It's in English, and there's a joint big statement from UNESCO, which is called World Museums Facing Pandemic, COVID-19 Pandemic. And there is another big organization, ICOM, which International Council of Museums. It's a consultative body under the UN Economic Council, which is also performing their research, and that they developed a methodological guidance, 8 steps on supporting sustainability of society and the role played by museums in all this process. And also locally, in many countries, there are a lot of materials being developed on museums, on their status during pandemic. And out of the biggest ones, we can refer to like documentaries, BBC documentary, which is called Museum on the Quarantine. And it was just an agenda which was more relevant to the summer period when most of the museums were just shut down. And due to different quarantine restrictions, when people discussed not only major things of the operation of the museum, like technical things, logistics, how the museum workers should get to work and can they go to work, or how they will get to work. So, but today in our discussion, we would like to, and we will ask our participants to talk about the actual museum operation during this new reality conditions, during pandemics. We are living in such conditions for more than half a year, and each museum by now adapted somehow to these conditions. And now we are interested during this discussion to raise this so the practices, the best solutions which different museums and different places of the world do find, and in order to implement 4 museum functions, which are listed in recommendations for 2015 by UNESCO. In the document called recommendations in regard to promoting museums and museum collections. And this for functions and preservation, study, communication, and education. So I would like to introduce our participants. And today, alphabetically, so Natalia Bazhenova, who is representing Kazakhstan, is the head scientist of the Kasteev Museum, which is located in Almaty, is the union of artists. Also Karolina Krzywicka, he is the curator of Central Asia collection and head of the cultural program. She is in Warsaw. And Shirin Melikova, and director of the National Carpet Museum, which is located in Baku, Azerbaijan, and she's the president of ICOM Azerbaijan. Mr. Tigran Makartychev is the Doctor of Art Scientist and the Rerik Museum Director. It's the branch of the State Museum for Oriental Art in Moscow City. And Dintiva Cholpon, who was participating in our previous discussions, participated in the first debates, and she opened sort of the year of debates, and she is finishing or completing. She is the expert and deputy director of Kyrgyz National Museum of Fine Arts, named after Ateyev, and the director of exhibition hall called Oak Park. And I would like to give the word to Natalia Bazhenova. We have a free format for our small, short presentations. Some of the participants did prepare some documents or presentations they would like to actually demonstrate to us. We have a very liberal format. Some people will just speak out. And if you have some questions to the actual participants of the debate, you can use the function raise your hand or wave your hand, and then I will give the word to you. So, or you can actually react and write in the chat. In Facebook and Zoom, there is chat window, and you can actually ask questions there, and I will read them if you will have them. So we can start talking about museums and museum work and operations during pandemics and the conditions of pandemics. So, Ms. Bazhenova, please, from Almaty. Hello. Hello, dear colleagues. My gratitude to organizers to participate, for a chance to participate in this debate, because it's very important nowadays, and it's very, so we are all in the condition or in the situation when we had to quickly switch to a new format of operational work, and due to which we learned some new skills. For example, editing of some different programs was studied, developing lectures, online excursions or tours, you know. So there are some actually positive things, because online tours are always available to audience at any time, any given time. An online format will never substitute actual direct contact and this live energy you receive from the objects of art. Our museum, which is called the name of the of Kasteev, and actually switched to online format very quickly, and a lot of work has been done in this regard. But the subject or topic of my discussion, I would like to talk about inclusion in general. So the modern art museum expands its area of activity and becomes an inclusive platform, which plays a very important role in socialization of society. It's humanitarian society, and we are not going towards it quick enough, but this process had started all over the world, and we can see the trends of the sort of Western museums, and we exchange experience with some other colleagues, and this work on inclusion, on creation for environment for a special type of people, so like special people, you know. So like, and this work is done for a long time already by us. So we have, for blind people or people with weak sight, we have special barelief or with relief, like sort of signs, and all the people can touching, you know, the signs under the objects of art can actually get to know, you will get some information about them. So we also have sculptures from wood and metal and stone. For blind people could actually feel them and feel the structure of the material, and so get to know this art object. Also, we have audio guides, and we work with the Easy Travel platform, which is very useful in this regard for older people, for especially people who actually could not move themselves. And this comfortable sort of visiting of museums for all types of people, for all categories of people, is very important for modern museums operation. And I would like to actually say that about
a year ago, we were with a delegation from the Kasteev Museum in Baku and visited the museum there, where the State Art Museum in Baku, where we were met very nicely, where we had a conference dedicated to this specifically for people with peculiarities in development. And that was a very fruitful meeting. This year, in April, we started a project for deaf and weakened hearing visitors, where with sign language, our art pieces that we have in our collection would be shown in a video format. We have applied to participate uh, in a bid for funding, and hopefully will be supported in this effort. Last year in Baku, and I'm very happy to see Shirin Melikova from here. Thank you very much indeed for we have learned from your experience and are also preparing such tactile models in applied arts of Kazakhstan, also that the blind couldn't feel the texture of carpets. In the applied arts of Kazakhstan, in the State Museum, we have art pieces made of wool, dried grass, musical instruments, barreliefs, so ornamental art pieces. And I believe these kinds of debates are also very helpful to learn from that experience to implement our projects. So thank you very much. I have a report prepared for 5 pages, and I'm definitely not going to read out about the work of our museum in the part of inclusion and creation of proper conditions for people with disabilities. Speaking of an accessible environment, we're not speaking only of providing drive-up appendices, but we're firstly speaking of including special programs, events, and activities, and also training of our employees. The museum practices are to also include socialization for people with disabilities, for them to enjoy the pieces of art. In 2013, we have prepared an exhibition, Image by Tactile, where we invited children and experts, and they had a chance to touch, literally touch these pieces of art, and then uh, could actually do so in our halls. It was very popular, for it was the first time the museum did this type of event. In continuation, we held series of roundtables together with the Arjan Foundation. In 2017, there was a roundtable on providing accessibility in Almaty museums with experts from different areas of arts and education. Numbers were quoted about the accessibility map. It turns out that from more than 25 museums of Almaty, only 4, and even those only partially, were accessible for people with disabilities. There was also a lot of importance of organizing this seminar, a workshop for access to museums with disability. From Liberty, Maria Mikhailовna Bonder is collaborating with us in that direction. From Russian museums, namely the Museum of Modern Art, Garage, visited us and participated in our roundtable proceedings. And in 2018, we held a fair called Ruhani Shabbat, Spiritual Joy, where over 200 children with peculiarities in development and children from orphanages took active part. There were a variety of master classes, and we must note that they really bring the children together and help them open up. And this inclusion on the platform of a master class and lectures understandable to a child had proven to be effective. And we are continuing work in this direction. So this, thank you very much. And I'll be happy to hear from my colleagues. Thank you very much, Ms. Bazhenova. You have raised a very important topic of inclusivity and the social role that museums play in our society, and that deserves all praise. And perhaps it's important to clarify here that the work on inclusion that you have presented was started not at the time of the pandemic, but much earlier. The overall socioeconomic and social situation in the world and in Kazakhstan perhaps has only emphasized the importance of social functions of all societal organizations and of museums in particular. And I'm grateful to your museum for the work you're doing. It deserves all praise, and it will be needed as a good, useful experience for all the museums in the Central Asian region and for other museums in the world. Now I'd like to pass the floor to our next speaker, Ms. Karolina Krzywicka, who would tell us of the experience of adaptation to the pandemic conditions that could be shared by Polish colleagues from Polish museums, please.
Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. I would like to present how our museum passed this hard time for all museums, and I can agree with my colleague, our previous speaker, that for all of us, this new order, new situation, insisted to start some reforms, some new tools, some new activities. So our museum also started to work on it, and I think we are successful in this field. I would like to present some presentation and say something more about our museum and specialty of our museum in the beginning. And later, I would like to show you the new activities and new solutions, new tools we tested and we use now in this pandemic era. So let me share the screen because it will be, I think it will be easier to present our activities. Let me introduce our museum because it's quite special. We are only one museum in Poland specialized in collecting Asian artifacts, items, and the museum was created. Let me check because I'm trying to. Okay, so the short brief history about of our museum and the specific of our museum, because as I mentioned, we are only one museum specialized to the Asian collections, and it was created in 1973, and it was founded by the diplomat and traveler, Mr. Andrzej Wawrzyniak, who unfortunately passed away last month. And he created this museum, and base of the museum is based on his private collection, which obtained 4,000 objects from Indonesia mostly, but also different countries of various regions of Asia. And this is our new edifice, new building. We moved to this building in 2013, but still we are waiting for the permanent exhibition. So I would like to present what we have and what we will present in 2 years when we open the permanent exhibition. So here is a view, in general view on our museum and our collection. For now, we have 23 objects from the various countries of Asia. As you see, beside the main collection, which is Indonesian collection, the dominating and the most important collection, we have also items from Mongolia, Nepal, India, Vietnam, Burma, Laos, China, and Central Asia, which is very significant collection. I'm happy to be curator of this collection. It's the biggest collection of Central Asia in Poland, including collection items from Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan, and Kazakhstan. Except this, we also collect objects from Oceania, Australia, and Oceania. Here I just wanted to remind our founder, because our museum would not exist if not our founder, Mr. Andrzej Wawrzyniak. As I said, unfortunately, last month we lost him. He passed away, and he left really great collection, which enlarged to, from 4,000 objects to 23,000 of objects. In 2016, we finished the first part of permanent exhibition, which is still in process. And for now, we present the collection of instruments, musical instruments, approximately 120 of objects. And it is also interactive exhibition for now. In the COVID time, unfortunately, we had to turn off all interactive tools for children, for our visitors. And briefly, I would like to present the design and idea of our permanent exhibition, which will be open at next year, I hope, hopefully. And here is a design of the part of the permanent exhibition, which will start from Arabic Peninsula through the Middle East, Iran, Central Asia, Mongolia, to Indonesian part. It will be the first part of the permanent exhibition opened in next year, and the farther parts will be opened in the next years, hopefully. Here is a view of our Central Asian permanent exhibition. Until I will describe our new activities, I would like just to present our activities in normal order. In our previous years, so we organized many exhibitions devoted to Central Asia, but not only, of course. And briefly, I will just to announce our main exhibition organized in previous years. Except exhibitions, we are also recognized museum in Poland, among other museums in Poland, as an institution promoting culture of various regions of Asia. We organize many events specialized for various ethnic groups inhabiting Warsaw and Poland. We invite them to participate and create the cultural program together with us. It's one of our aim to promote multicultural policy, and thanks to that, we cooperate fruitfully with various ethnic minorities like Vietnamese minority, Iranian minority, and some also representative of Central Asian countries. Here, the photo of the Festival of Central Asia. We organized 2 editions of this festival. During the festivals, we also put a lot of attention on the educational program and workshops for children, lessons, workshops. Here, some example of one of the activities connected with the exhibition of Suzani. It's just one of the example, but our educational department is very active. And to each exhibition, we prepared a special program of activities for children and families. Except exhibition educational program in the real life of the museum, we are also famous because of the organization of multicultural concerts and inviting artists from the whole Asia. We cooperate with artisans, as you see, from Uzbekistan, India, Iran, Pakistan, Afghanistan. In normal order, we organize monthly one concert presenting different music tradition to our audience, but unfortunately for now, we had to stop it. And here, just to remind also in another kind of exhibition we used to organize, exhibition of archive from our archive. Here, exhibition of the old photographs of the outstanding photographer Leon Barszczewski from Central Asia. And here, until I will present our new activities, I would like to remind our time exhibition we organized this year, and we finished this year, and we had to close them this year because of the pandemic time. So this year we ended a very interesting exhibition devoted to various writing traditions, presenting different object items and traditions of writing from whole Asia, non-ephemeral words, the writing in the word cultures. The last of our exhibition, which we organized and prepared some special activities for our audience, and it was really interactive exhibition, was the exhibition devoted to the modern culture and pop culture in Japan. Here, the photos from the exhibition in my Harajuku. We also present, according to the exhibition, we also invited artisans from Japan, and it was the last exhibition with our audience. So watching those photos, I must say, I feel really sad that we had to stop to see our audience, our visitors, and change completely our activities into online program. And here our present exhibition, the steering, is a very interesting project because it's the first exhibition connecting our objects from various regions of Asia with the contemporary art, work arts made by young artists, young artist students of the Academy of Art in Warsaw, who visited first our storages, choose the objects, the items who inspired them, and tried to create their own masterpieces, their own artworks inspired by chosen item. So it was just the beginning of the project. The final effect was exhibition, but it's not only exhibition of showing those works, because it's there are sculptures, some other digital works made in different medias. But it was just the start, because according to the exhibition concept, there is much more behind. And I will show it the content and the program connected with this exhibition in the next slides. Here are some views of this exhibition, and you can see the items chosen by the young artists from our collection and their own artworks inspired by our objects. And the last event before the closing the museum was a diplomatic event and exhibition organized with the Embassy of Mongolia, devoted to the treasury of Mongolian Buddhism from the Mongolian Museum in Ulaanbaatar. So you can see that the last event was organized already under the pandemic rules. And it was the last event we organized in the museum with audience. I would like to follow my presentation and present exact new tools and new activities we organized in this time. We started the new order, the new time for our employees of our museums with, of course, as you see, the Zoom meetings. Every week we have the Zoom meeting. The heads of departments, all heads of departments, we meet weekly and discuss actual problems and our challenges for the next weeks. So here are a group of curators and heads of our department. We started to organize those meetings very fastly, and I must say for all of us, it was something new. It was the new challenge, but we started to adapt to this new situation very fast. Except Zoom meetings among employees, our curators, our director, we all started to be very active in online activities like conferences, webinars. I think it's a reality for all of us, but we are also active in this field. Here, the conference organized in Poland, decolonizing the museums. And here, new order, new rules. According to the pandemic rules, we also started to offer our audience something connected with this hard time, but with colors and Asian inspirations. Here, some events organized also according with pandemic rules. The last event with our youths is the Polish Kendama Open Games. It was organized, as you see, with respecting all pandemic rules. And here I would like to say about the activities online in Poland. Whole museums in Poland, including our museum, had opportunity to apply for the special donation program, financing program organized for the Polish Ministry of Culture and National Heritage. It was organized very fast in April. The program was announced, and it was devoted to the institutions of culture like museums, theaters, as well as individual artists and people work in the cultural field. So it was approximately 80 million of Polish zloty spent for this program, and also our museum was one of the beneficiaries of this program. We applied and we prepared a special program online connected with our current exhibition, The Steering. So this program of donation was focused on creating the new platforms of communications with the audience. So it was focused on digitization of the collections, creating new platform, new media to be more open for the new ways. For our audience, for youth, for various parts of our visitors, including also people with special abilities, because we also we are very focused on. We put a lot of efforts to also improve and manage this kind of activities for people for the special abilities. So this program is called Culture Online, in Polish Kultura w sieci. And also our museum took a part in this program. And as I mentioned, we created a special platform online devoted to the current exhibition, The Steering. So the separated website was created, and you can see the print screen from this website devoted to this exhibition, and we created a special activities. We shared them to discover the exhibition, discover works of art of the young artists. We prepared the content to read the comments of artists, and the special program for children, for children to give them access to educational activities, workshops, and lessons. And here I wanted to present you practically the screens from our from this website. This is the first part, Discover. In this part, we prepared virtual curatorial tours, virtual tour, some comments of curator of the exhibition, Dr. Barbara Banasik, and the young artist. And we had also the already made virtual tour with guide. So it was, I'm just presenting the few activities in this part. Second one was the virtual tour. You can start on our website, and you start, and you can visit the exhibition and know more about the object. The second part is to move, and here our curators prepared the special activities, inviting various artists who are inspired of Asian art of our collection, and we presented the dance, music, but also prepared some presentations about Asian ornaments and how they were developed through ages. And here the activities for children, everything is available on this separated website, the Steering Online. And here is the set of activities prepared for children. Everyone can use it. So the virtual tour for children and families, some workshops devoted to various media of art, painting, sculptures, some workshops, manual workshops, everyone can do at home, and interactive virtual tour with a guide for families. And here we also prepared the special program for children, lessons for children and schools online. I must say that it worked in the beginning of the project, but later when we all got started a little bit tired of online content, the interest of those lessons was a little bit smaller, and it was not so popular in the far north. Our content online, I briefly presented now. We also presented during the celebration of International Museums Day online. So our program was also available during the celebration of this day organized by ICOM. And here I would like to briefly going to end, because it's maybe a little bit too long, but I really would like to present all we prepared in this hard time, except the special website connected with the steering exhibition. We prepared a separated program of lessons online for classes for children in various age. And here is an example of the lesson we offer to our audience. This one is devoted to arts of Asia and Pacific region. It's online. The classes pay 100 zloty. They need to register, and they can listen the lessons anytime. The second theme is devoted to the houses of Asia. It works on the same rule. You can register, the class can register and have a ready content online available anytime. The second part of our activities, except presenting the content on our website, is our social media. So I think for all of us now is the main tool of working on promoting our collections or our activities, and it's the new field of our being as a museum. So we put a lot of attention to be more active and more effective in our channels, social media channels, especially Facebook, and we created a special series. Weekly, we have two series. On Tuesdays, we present meetings with artists. I will tell about this in a few minutes. And on Thursdays, we have a special content for children. Our educational department prepared the special workshops. They recorded it, how to act, how to play in the Asian games. So every Thursday we present different Asian games and present how to make it at home, how children with parents can do it at home easily. So here is the examples of games and plays of Asia we present every Thursday. And here the second series I mentioned before. Every Tuesday we have meetings online with artists from various regions of Asia. We cooperated with them before they perform in our museum last 3 years, and they agreed to record short videos for our audience, to be in touch with our audience. They remind them themselves, but especially presented their instruments, their music tradition. They gave a short speeches about it and presented. Sometimes we have a short concert. So I must say that it's very popular among our audience online, and it's very successful. During the pandemic time, we also started some new activities we didn't try before. So it's also the special feature of this pandemic time that we all need to start something new. And in this pandemic time, our museum started the first fundraising project to the project of renovation of the Vietnamese pagoda situated in our garden. It's hard time to fundraise it's hard time to start any fundraising project. But for now, we see that some of people are really interested and they supporting this project. So let's see how it will be. And in the end, I would like to say about another activities of our museum. Actually, it started before pandemic of COVID-19 started. And it's strictly connected with the policy of museums last 10 years. I mean the activities on the field of digitization of the collections, and according to the special programs of the Ministry of Culture and Heritage, we started two very important programs to make our collections available for everyone online. And the first one is to create a digital source of our photographic archive, because we have thousands of photographs from Asia, especially from 60s and 70s. And now we started this project in 2019 and it's continue. And this year, 4,000 of photographs were digitalized, and they are available on our website. The second project, which is also connected to show the audience our collections and items online, is the big project of digitization of Asian manuscripts and printed books. And it's a project of our curators, but also many of specialist experts from all the world were hired to this project. And now also on our website, we present hundreds of manuscripts and printed books from Indonesia, Burma, Tibet, Mongolia, and China. And here works on the project under process in the pandemic era. You can see that everything is organized according to the pandemic rules, but we work on this project now. According to this project, we also prepared some activities online, workshops for children and families, and they are prepared, they are planned for this month. And I would like in the end to invite you for the very important for us event online connected with this project of digitization of Asian manuscripts and printed books. We, for the first time, organized the conference online. The School of Manuscripts, which will take a place in coming days, 8 to 10th of December. You can register via Zoom. There will be many lectures of experts from Oriental Institute of the Warsaw University, but in the program you can find also workshops and some other activities. So I recommend you, if you are interested, to check it. It's available on Facebook and our website. And in the end, I would like to present our last activity online, which will take a part tomorrow. It's Oriental Christmas Bazaar online. Since 5 years, we used to organize the bazaar of Oriental items, inviting craftsmen, artists, and representative of various ethnic groups living in Warsaw, presenting their crafts. But this year it's not possible in the real space of the museum. So we remove it online. So you can also check it on our website. Thank you very much for your attention. Maybe it was too long. If you have any questions or you want to share any ideas, I will be here for you. And here some addresses of our activities online. So we are online now. Thank you very much.
Спасибо большое, госпожа Кшивицка.
Thank you very much, Ms. Krzywicka. If other participants do not have questions, I would like to ask two questions while I was listening to a presentation which got to my mind. It's very interesting for me. Can you please share in more detail about the program supporting this government-funded program? So I didn't quite understand. So this program did help your museum to actually switch to online format and helped you to start implementing some online events, or this program just helped museums floating, just to actually help you go through pandemic and cover your losses during pandemic times. And the second question, when you talked about online events, you talked about educational online events and communication events. So if you go back to UNESCO recommendations in terms of promoting museum collections, the four functions of museums is preservation, research, communication, and education. So so you demonstrated really well that communication and education can work well in one format, but during pandemic conditions, your research projects, which you had started, so you continue them, like, for example, digitalization of some objects, but in general, how is it, your workers who are more involved in scientific work, did they suffer more than the workers who are actually involved in educational work or promoting some other things? So these are the two questions I have.
Okay. Thank you for your questions. I think I will start from the second one because it's more complex. You ask which department in our museum has more responsibilities now and more activities. I must say that we all we have more work now, and we are much more involved to preparing the educational program, as well as presentation of our activities, various activities online. So my department of communication and cultural program, as well as our curators, who prepared all content online to the program steering online. So I must say that my impressions and my colleagues' impressions are that we have much more work now than we had before. It's different. We work in different way. We had to learn very fastly the new ways of presenting museum, the new ways of our activities. So this technical reform, let's say, was very fast. So it brings some difficulties, but I must say that in general for our team, it was very fruitful time, and we work hard, but we are satisfied on the effects. And we all work very hard, especially curatorial department, educational department. They are active all the time, and our department of promotion and cultural programs. But we can't forget about other departments, because the backstage of museum is not so visible for the audience, but another departments like conservation department, the collection department, they work all the time, and we are not present. We are all not present in the museum every day. We have separated days, student days, when we are present in our offices, but we all work. And for example, our conservation department works now on preparations to the opening of the permanent exhibition. So we all work very, very, very hard. To answer your first question about this special program, I would like to say more. I always hoped that I presented it clearly in my presentation, but I think not. Well, it's the program announced by the Ministry of Culture and National Heritage in spring, in April, and it was just after the first lockdown, so it was really needed. But this donation program financing special projects of the institutions of culture was devoted to provide, to manage, to discover new ways of the communication and presenting the activity of the museum. It was not a program supporting the normal activities, right? I mean, the daily activities. It was a special program created to prepare digital platforms to facilitate access to the collections and activities online. So it was devoted, this program was devoted especially to those activities. So all museums, other institutions, as well as single artists or people who work in cultural events, they were able to apply for, to take a part in this financing program. So there was around 1,200 participants of this program, including museums, institutions, and single artists or artistic groups. And we are among the museums who were were supported by this program. So we used those funds for presenting the time exhibition, The Steering, and create the special platform devoted to this exhibition and all activities I just mentioned about in my presentation.
Окей, спасибо большое.
Okay,
Давайте
thank you very much. Let's move on to the next participant. The participant is from Azerbaijan, director of the National Carpet Museum, Ms. Shirin Melikova. Please, you have the floor. Hello. Thank you. I'm grateful to everyone, first of all, for the invitation to this interesting talk, and I greet all the participants and the speakers before me. Your contributions were very interesting. We're all in museums, share the same fate, we face the same problems, and we try to solve the problems moving more or less in the same direction. As it was said, truly, these days, due to the pandemic, we have a completely different set of tasks ahead of us, and the museum community is starting to master absolutely new kinds of activities, new to us. That, first of all, has to do with the video format, working in social media, digitalization of our collections, and communication, even more communication with our potential followers in different parts of the world. In fact, all of this, well, in principle, social media have been present in our practice before. The Carpet Museum is one of the leading museums of Azerbaijan. It's a unique museum, the first of its kind, first carpet museum in the world, with over 10,000 very interesting artifacts, mostly carpets, and we grow our collection year on year. And Natalia also mentioned our project. Greetings, Natalia. Very happy to see you here. Yes, last year we launched a very interesting, unique project called Inclusion, and our museum was a pioneer in our country in working with people with limited abilities. Our collection, of course, is mostly carpets with of different kind, and for our visitors with the weekend vision, We have prepared smaller carpets in a mixed technology so that they can actually feel the difference between the different technologies of carpet weaving and even feel the different decorations, ornaments. We have a special department that works for the recovery of the ancient technologies, and all these carpets, this sample for sight impaired was prepared by our employees from that department, and we're ready. We're working with different museums in the world on this, and we're ready to work with your museums and help you in implementation of this program. If I may, I'd like to share my presentation. I'd like to briefly tell you about our operations. Naturally, from the months of March, as soon as we faced the problem of shutting down the museums, at the time we were preparing for an exhibition to show our new exhibits. And here you can see our poster with two very interesting jewelry artifacts that the museum acquired at the Sotheby's auction, Adjara age jewelry, and the collection includes artifacts presented to us by different collections, private collections. But then there was a lockdown. We couldn't receive any guests, and the museum had to switch fully to distant remote methods. And we decided to launch an online opening, go live on air online. It was a completely new experience for us. We have invited a team of directors. We had two cameras working. It took us a day to write down the script. We then were trying it out. The whole museum team spent the day and the night till 3 in the morning in the museum. It was an interesting time, and it was fascinating. Normally, to an exhibition, you get 200 to 300 visitors, but here we were visited by more than 4,000 people from different countries of the world. And at that time, we realized how important it really is to migrate to this level of operations as well. True, it comes with a lot of disadvantages since it's all being done remotely with practically over half a year, with very brief periods when we could be visited. But it comes with a lot of advantages as well. We started perceiving our own collection differently, started looking for new ways of communication, and we tried to really deliver it to audiences speaking different languages. And all of our content, we have a Facebook page, and we're practically present in all social media. Our content is available in 3 languages. Imagine that we have literally a team of translators and editors. We have put together such a team that works with our research and academic department and our storage people. Basically, all the departments, including our restoration department, we continuously hold Zoom meetings of all employees, and we have general meetings. We have meetings of specific departments working on content. We immediately came to a conclusion that we should work in different topical sections. We came out 5 times a week, several times a day, and every day we have specific themes. Naturally, we didn't have much content prepared. Most of our activities in social media before the pandemic was announcements, with some coverage of our new exhibition openings, different events being advertised. Definitely, there were posts dedicated to our 7 collections in the museum. So we're mostly working in that direction. But during the pandemic, it has become apparent that all the work we do, and the carpet museum, as you mentioned, there are four more main directions, but there's also a fifth important direction of a museum's work. A museum as a social and cultural hub. Our museum used to serve as a platform for a variety of activities. We had a very interesting series of lectures, and we had firstly very interesting lecturers, and we had students and people of different backgrounds and professions. The admission was free every Saturday. We also hosted concerts. We were continuously in a variety of events. So we have a long-standing children's department that we even call separately a children's museum. They have a very vast educational program, all the way to the fact that we have our own theater in our museum, a puppet theater. So in fact, we had a lot of things that we were doing in real life, and now we have come to a realization that we have to offer all of this in the virtual world. Initially, it was very challenging, but we have transformed very quickly, and I'm very grateful to our team. We have even invited, I will tell you, a professional director to our team, because we started shooting brief videos with lectures, and here you can see several lectures we would shoot in the museum. My lecture, you can see on the right side, I had to shoot it in my own apartment. There was a period when the quarantine was very strict, when we couldn't even exit our homes and come to work. And another example is live stream, live carpet talks on our page in Instagram, where we invite friends and artists and experts, our friends from all over the world. And sometimes it gets very interesting. We have people speaking all languages: English, Russian, our own native Azeri, and the audiences are very broad and versatile. Going back to our children's department, every day we used to have topical events, and we have, Walking Footsteps developed a program of Paint the Carpet. We would give high resolution photographs of our carpets. And these, by the way, this compositional form was developed by our own artists. And this project is very successful, enjoyed a lot of interest of our subscribers. All of this will be put it together in a book, so this will definitely see its continuation. Then we had a week. Every week we had quiz sessions every Monday. Also, the quizzes were on our collection. Once again, this is in 3 languages. I must say, at the time of the pandemic, we have increased the number of our subscribers from different countries of the world. Most interesting thing is we have carpet collectionists who follow our posts very actively and speak very actively on our pages. And I'll even tell you a short story. These are our friends, Italian collection holders, Stefan Ionescu and Alberto Brealevi. There were others as well. I'm just showing in the presentation these 2 friends of ours. These are the people who helped our museum with donations. Stefan Ionescu helped us with several collections, granting our museum several items, and the other gentleman has also been collaborating with us for many years. And we had live presentations with our friends, would show the artifacts that the museum received thanks to these gentlemen. And one of the exhibits, Jijima, these are the carpets without fur, and a collection from Austria sent pictures and choose I would like to grant one to your museum. Another connoisseur from Italy responded at the time of the pandemic when it was raging, and he sent to us a beautiful Shirvan carpet, and we are preparing currently its presentation, and most likely it will all be available online, for borders unfortunately remain closed. Like I said, our wonderful children's museum is developing very interesting projects, and at the time of the pandemic, staff of the museum have came out in their full creative color. In the center, you see a girl who is in charge of our library. Turns out she also writes children's fairy tales, and we have invited her and prepared a very beautiful video where she tells a fairy tale with the Karabakh carpet in the background, a luxurious piece of art, and tells a fairy tale about a very beautiful flower, Kharabugul, that only grows in Karabakh. So she made a very beautiful fairy tale on that. At the time of the pandemic, our department has also prepared the performance of our shadow theater. At the time of June, when there was some easing of the quarantine, by the way, on May 18th, the museum, they were allowed to work through mid of June, and actually late June we had to close again, but we could get groups of no more than 10 kids, and were showing these performances, and it enjoyed great popularity. All these master classes have been prepared before, but now we have shot it all on video, and we now have over 50 master classes available online. I must say we have several pages in social media. There's a main museum page where we publish the content that we develop, but there's also the a separate page of the Children's Museum, who work constantly. They work very actively with children participating from all over the world with their own contests, with their own very robust activity. So, and of course, we publish them on our main page as well, the most interesting parts of. In late 80s, early 90s, in Shusha, there was our branch in Shusha, in Karabakh, and after occupation in 1992, the artifacts were taken out and was shown in our museum, but they continue to work as our branch in our premises. But so they have their own page, which is also on our premises, and also there's a separate page of our preservation department. It is a very serious lab that works on conservation, preservation of textile, of carpets, and carpet artifacts. We basically service our own collection on our own. There are a lot of different projects that we launched during the pandemic, are so-called carpet stories, and I invite you all to participate. If you have interesting carpets at your home with a different story behind it, please write to us, send us your videos. This is a project we launched in April. It is still up and running. We still are getting submissions of carpet stories from all over the world. The most interesting ones get published, and of course, later on we'll launch it as a separate project, maybe a publication and a separate exhibition. An interesting thing is we get submissions of carpet stories from different countries of the world, from Israel to US to Australia to countries of Europe, Turkey, Iraq, and so on. So I invite you all as well, and the magazine Carpet, which is an online magazine published in Kazan. They have also joined in this project, and we had the exchange of carpet stories and posted in each other's media. It's very important for in this period. We have also established online contacts with the different museums, including, by the way, the Adilkhan Kasteev Museum. When they visited us in Baku, we signed a memorandum on cooperation, and we have negotiated with several museums with who we engage in a wide variety of projects, from exhibitions all the way to conferences, experience sharing, webinars, and so on.
And so we can actually run exchange educational projects. And we were already in the process of preparing for some exchange projects, some educational programs of these museums will be introduced here and vice versa. So it's one of our projects which we think is wonderful. And with that, we will be able to promote art and culture of different countries in our own countries. And our audience of our online programs are children, and it will be wonderful for them getting to know art and the main types of art or special for different countries. So here is a slide dedicated to our collections. As I said, we post different news and we present different art objects. Of course, some of the art objects were already sort of made pictures of, but during pandemic, we actually managed to make photos of all the items in the collection. So it's very important to actually work online, not just to show some of the objects and artifacts, but to actually run online exhibitions. So we renewed or upgraded our 360 degrees tour. And we did this 3D tour. We did this during pandemic, and we initiated very interesting project, which is a virtual tour of Carpet Museum, and we invited our famous media figures and art figures, and it turned out to be a wonderful virtual tour where our collections were presented by very famous people in Azerbaijan, which also expands our audience because we are inclusive museum. So the tour is accompanied with the sign language. Now it is only in Azerbaijani language, but we plan to dub it into English because it's a two-language museum. It's English, Azerbaijani language. But because we have a very big audience, Russian-speaking audience, we will actually make this video tour in Russian language. So we already have recorded two levels, and we did this during pandemic. So we are in the process of doing the third level of the museum. So our museum is very actively responding to the events happening in the cultural, political, other spheres. So during all celebrations, holidays, events, our museum is actively reacting or in the mass media or social media. And you heard that for the last several months, we had the military situation, and we tried to free our occupied land. And now we are over that. And so we are celebrating the victory. And during this military actions, we were actively publishing everything which has to do with our Karabakh collection. It was objects of some applied arts, and but we have actually presented expanded information talking about ethnography and history and other things. So our museum, in all regards, is actively involved. We actually hold this active position, in everything what's happening in our country. As it was said, mentioned, ICOM committee also during pandemic initiated several surveys, and they tried to control this process, this pandemic process, how museums feel, how what are they doing, how are they running, so because many museums who did not even have their pages, web pages, but during pandemic, they actually started the web pages, started to learn working in this new format, which is wonderful, and those who could not digitize their collections, they are started to do this during pandemic. So, but we had a survey, we distributed questionnaires into 42 museums, and 42 museums participated in this questionnaire, in the survey, and here are the results of the survey. So in general, in principle, I must say that we are not, we do not have visitors, physical visitors, because we have high numbers of sick people. So we mainly work remotely, but our workers, we go to work, we work physically. So we have our own schedule in order to decrease the load of personnel every day. So we did not lay off anybody. So all the people receive their salary. So we have economic stability in country, support, which is important. And so we're just simply working in this new format. We continue doing what we're working in the new format, which is one sort of one swirl, one more step in the work of our museum. So I wish you all well-being, peace, health, and I'm sure that there will be some time in future where we will only remember these lockdowns as the history, and we will see each other, in real conferences, because there is nothing better than seeing each other face to face. And there are several addresses, our web pages, and please connect with us. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your presentation. I think that definitely everybody wants, all people want everything which has to do with quarantines and limitations and lockdowns to actually finish. But you actually said very interesting things, that the online regime helped to understand that museums can receive more audience or reach more audience, bigger audiences, and promote different messages. It coverage is bigger through online rather than the physical sort of audience. And another thing, you talked about the fifth function of the museum. It's to unite people, social cultural thing. It's to unite people. It's a very interesting thought. And I can see that some of the listeners, Adel Maratova wants to ask a question to you, but we don't have enough time. And I would like to ask not to sort of have a vocal question. Can you please type the question into the chat box, and I will actually read it later. So, Rerik Museum representative from Russian, Tigran Markartychev, I would like to give the floor to you. And Mrs. Melikova, can you close your screen, please? Dear colleagues, I'm very pleased to see all of you and hear you, and I am grateful to organizers for invitation to participate in such an interesting event. And I will not have a presentation. I just wanted to share my general impression on what's happening now, and would like to give some recommendations for museums, Central Asian region, which I more or less sort of understand. During this pandemic, new reality transfer to the online platforms, it assisted understanding that there is a need which was not in the past, the need to cooperate between scientific departments and internet divisions or departments of museums. So this format, this new format which appeared, has to kind of substitute real visitations of people where just audience would actually come physically to the museum. So here we see these great possibilities, which has to do with the fact that we can demonstrate our audience what they could never see in exhibition. It's just the reserves. That's the first thing. The second thing is we could get to for our online lectures becoming topic oriented and connected not to our expositions but to some specific objects of art which spring more attention or interest of our audience. And scientific scientists of the museums can actually present them in the best way. And presence in social media networks, if for Russia, Facebook, Instagram, and for Kazakhstan, it's probably Instagram and possibly Contact, or yeah. So the work in social networks, using social networks, is a very significant instrument for the modern audience to understand how modern museums live now. I think that Central Asian museums, besides this work, which is done through online operation and preparing different content, I really loved what Mrs. Melikova mentioned, that inviting professional so director who could actually movie director who could actually create this content professionally. But for Central Asian museums, it's important. There's another thing also being important. So I think that while museums are closed during pandemic, there are two issues, two things which for Central Asian museums could actually do. It's a preparation of the tours, guides, because being in Central Asian museums, visiting Central Asian museums, I can observe absolutely different levels of the training and skills of the tour guides. And in many museums, there is a possibility to think through, in big museums, like Nur Sultan and Kasteev Museum, there is no need for these museums. But the small regional museums, there is a possibility for the small museums to actually organize re-exposition, because it's important. Because in normal life, they're open and they have to accept visitors and changing their exposition. They should think about this. So this online life, which is being formed or formulated right now, it's a modern form of communication between the museum and the world, outside world. But this it's obviously will not substitute live visits, but at the same time, it presents great tasks for museum workers. So each scientist, in addition to promotion and the tour guides, each scientist in the museum has the obligation to actually go publicly and to share the academic knowledge to a broader audience and make it in a understandable form. And I would like to express my the program. I would like to talk about it's a night in the museum or something like this. So there was this program which was the most interesting event in the former Soviet countries. Thank you very much. Thank you. I can see your first question in chat box. It's Irina Sadovskaya is asking, so where can we see what's stored in the reserves of your museum? It's a central exhibition, Moscow exhibition. You can come anytime. It's a pavilion number 13. Thank you very much. And Mrs. Bazhenova wanted to ask a question. Please. Thank you very much. Respectfully, I know that you visited Kasteev Museum this year, and yes, we do have the Rerik objects of art in our museum. It's 3 paintings, and we are honored to actually possess these pieces in our collection. And we had several exhibitions in our museums of Svetoslav Rerik and Konstantin Rerik exhibitions, and I am a fan of Nikolai Rerik art, and knowing about all the events which happened in 2017, which led to the public museum closure. And I would like to, from mass media, we know that this building, Lapukhin house, where this museum was located, is transferred to the Fine Arts Pushkin Museum ownership. So as a director of the State Museum of Nikolai Rerik, so which sort of work do you do during quarantine time, and where are you located? Where is collection currently located? So Irina Sadovskaya asked the question. You said that it's a so reserves are at the central exhibition, Moscow exhibition. So our museum is at this pavilion number 13. So we demonstrate a very big exhibition. I can actually give you some figures. We have so 495 objects of art and 333 it's a graphics and like paintings of Konstantin and Nikolai Rerik could be looked in the reserves. It's open storage. It's called open storage status. So after museum reopens, and I would like to remind you that currently we have an agreement with your museum, and if God allows, next year in spring, we are planning to show you in your museum an exhibition which is called the Peaks of Spirit or Mountains of Spirit, where we plan to actually exhibit, Nikolai Rerik art. So, and I'm curator of this exhibition. Thank you. And I would like to give the word to our last presenter. It's Mrs. Cholpontintiva from Kyrgyzstan. A good evening to everyone. So you can see how picture changes at the street through the window. So it's very nice to hear my colleagues and hear about new museums and so talked about the things happening in our new reality field with communication things. So during previous debates, we talked about this in great details, and now I briefly would like to talk about interesting program. I present the biggest museum of fine arts. This is the museum where I actually work. So we working with a modern digital artists. So we actually made some very interesting remakes, and this program was very popular and interesting. And it's already they actually created remakes of some objects of art which are well known. So In March, we started very actively printing, coloring books. And so we also started like promoting another channel to use, like it's a Telegram channel, and it's getting its popularity really well. And I think that in a few countries, Central Asian Telegram channels are quite available, and many things can be done there, including questionnaires. And it's a very lively Telegram channel, and there are 4 forms of communication we have, and we do not repeat ourselves in Instagram.
We understand that the youth uses these platforms very actively. They have for them a post on a Facebook probably is for somewhat older generation where questions are different and discussions are different, while Telegram is a very good auxiliary platform. We prepare our own specialized patterns following the motives of our exhibits. We prepare wallpapers so you can download it for your phone, for your computer, and make stickers for your messengers. So a museum next door. So it was a very interesting experience. And of course, yes, there was self-isolation started long ago. These are, let's say, already old topics, but from September 15th, we actually could open. We can receive guests. We can organize exhibitions. Yes, with restrictions, we did a technical opening. We are still online, but people can come. But with the pandemic, we also launched our communication channels full fire, and of course, number of subscriptions had went up. But we're not going to stop that, even with a physical opening. And I'd like to mention now several of our projects. We have a creative group who initiated so-called online art residence, where the main thing is it's science and art based on the works of our PhDs, and our museum acted as the key partner. And generally, the online art residence, Sign of Sun, is still ongoing. 135 submissions from 11 countries. It was unexpected, actually, because a yurt, a micro world of a nomadic civilization, sustainable design, a very interesting thoughts. And now people are still now in that art residence, and it's not only science and art, but it's also spirituality, because when we say of sacred knowledge, of sacred legacy, all of that stays there. And turns out we feel that with the arrival of the pandemic and understanding by an individual that not much is up to an individual, that actually led to a lot of soul searching. And you can see our audience is people from 16 to 75. People started looking for answers in their origins, in this sacred knowledge. And of course, science and art being there also is quite beneficial. So we now have this online art residence, 11 countries, 5 participants who create projects specifically meant for the online gallery. We will soon have it 3D online gallery in late December. I invite you all. It will be for the Night of Museums by the end of the year as a very big bang closing of the year. Of course, it depends on technical capacity. All these things existed, but we're not paying much attention. But we now work. We now have Mozilla hubs. You can build 3D galleries. Also, worlds in Minecraft, believe it or not, where you can organize gatherings where people can come and you can create a feeling. There are actually a lot of concerts in these platforms these days. Also with sites, these are not just sites with announcement, but a site in the form of a quest. You have it's based on gameplay to get people engaged and interested. So with this ongoing online popular platforms, not only for our countries but globally, so we have launched a this online art residence, and then the night museums. There will be a lot of digital art using media, uh, works from different countries in a digital format, digital media. Night of Museums in May, it made no sense for us. Yes, traditionally it's May, but people have at that time haven't even many people didn't know how to enter our platforms, our sites. But now in this period, we've learned there was a learning curve in summer, and I felt this in June, especially in June, late May and June, there was fatigue. Everyone was allergic to the words online. Now it's changed. Everyone has realized that there's nowhere to go. It's the reality. So people are now actually dedicating time for our games and for our exhibitions. And in the previous discussion, I've also mentioned that generally the communication strategy has to be built around love and care. From love and care comes this main strategy. It's not being imposing or dominant. It's not just reporting and just ticking some boxes. No, we have developed a new image of the museum in the communication world, that's for sure. And we invite you all to visit us on Museum Night Online, Digital Art. I also would love to see your projects. Uh, if they're successful, would like to add them to our program. People got used to the night in the museums. Last year we had 39,000 people in 6 hours. By the way, a very good case. We recently held a live concert with an orchestra coming to the museum. 22 people, a live orchestra, and we did a minimum PR on purpose. It was working hours so that less people would come, but people miss live music as theaters were closed down, and of course classical music. People were queuing up outside, and we're actually quite concerned. Yes, everyone was wearing masks and distancing and all, but it was a very important signal for us that people are hungry. It was a work hours, and we started announcing only 2 hours before the start. But people ran up with their strollers, and an hour and 15 minutes, everyone was standing up, listening to the music. We thought, well, people would stand there for 20 minutes and then move away, start walking around the exhibition. No, people didn't get tired. They didn't tire. They stood there. So there's that effect. So we're now preparing a second iteration of a concert. Now, this time on our side, we would make a lot of adjustments. And in the end, and I mentioned it in our last meeting, that in principle, we're very carefully, we're all pushed into the 21st century. Look, museum guys, it's the new world. So yes, online gives us a lot of opportunities. True, we had internal barriers in our minds that in doing things, but now our online art residence had shown that everything is a lot more accessible and doable. And one more thing, a survey. We launched a survey among professors, faculty. How do you like online education? Of course, with the students for education. So professors who are teaching for 40 years, they say, in Zoom, you have a feeling that you're personally talking to each student, while in the university halls, they will sit far, but online also gives you some sort of proximity, closeness, a direct connection. Perhaps some barriers are actually being removed with online. But generally, yes, I would like to wish everyone health and, of course, our past world, where we just have so many meetings and workshops in the course of the year. Yes, that was very intensive, but life is interesting with the fact that it throws in new challenges, and you just have to take it positively and improve lives of people, of the society. We as a museum, it's one of our main responsibilities. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ms. Tintiva. You, as you started our debates this year, and now you, in a way, have summed up our discussions, and I very much loved how you've done so. True, museums, as the rest of the world, have been pushed to the 21st century with its positives, with its negatives. It's just given their peculiar, yes. We were preparing these debates and wanted to get some answers through your communications, your discussion. Did some rethinking of the museums take place, reinventing museums at the time of the pandemic, and how such museums that have reinvented themselves are influencing the society? And what kind of a role is that? Of course, everyone already had answered that. There was a serious rethinking, reconsideration, reinventing of the work of the museum, of museum staff. In many ways, social media helped us a lot with online technologies. Before, many conservative people would consider them, well, this is just a fashion thing. It will go with time. And it's probably good only to work with very narrow target audience, maybe just the youth. But that is no longer there, that notion. Everyone's online. The audience has learned and accepted the online processes. Now people respond to it calmly, and there is interest to the work of museums through remote formats with different age groups, different interest groups. You can work with these groups of people. So perhaps that is a new role of a museum that will most likely become a new reality, new normal. Well, for the coming years, for sure, who knows how long will this pandemic last? Of course, we all hope that it will end as soon as possible. But I was thinking that some of the participants will say the online format of a work of a museum. I think the most characteristic example is the National Museum of Brazil. You know, huge museum with over 20 million exhibits with geology, anthropology departments. It's a huge country and it deserves a great museum. It burned down in 2018 fully, and a lot of its collections ceased to exist. But that museum is now available online, and many of their artifacts that no longer exist are still available to enjoy. Would now anyone be willing to say some closing remarks? Please, you're welcome. But I, on the part of UNESCO Almaty, would like to thank all the participants. Thank you for sharing your experiences, your experiences of your concerns. And yet another conclusion for our debates one can make is museum workers actually have now a lot more work. As Ms. Krzywicka said, no one rests, no one sits idle waiting for the museums to open their doors, that people would only then come. No, everyone's working and working and working, actually working more than usual. So it's a new format. So thank you very much for finding the time to share your experiences. And yes, I see our viewers are also thanking you. Perhaps I would say that this year, this is our last debate organized by UNESCO Bureau in Almaty. Possibly we'll continue with this or similar format next year. I invite all interested parties, stakeholders, interested in working with any creative industries. Should you have anything to share, should you have some points you need to raise with some burning issues, we stand ready to provide this platform. We're ready to discuss this. And of course, naturally, I call upon all of you to please follow the work of our bureau through social media, as it was stated today. Internet sites of museums may be beautiful as of any other organization. There may be a lot of interesting information, but without social media, that information doesn't get distributed because very few people search in a specialized manner. People go to social media to just see what is it that I'll see this time. So subscribe to us. Let's discuss, let's look for new ways. And once again, thank you very much, everyone. And maybe months in advance, but I congratulate everyone with the coming New Year's. For our European colleagues, the coming Christmas holidays. And goodbye, everyone. We can stop the recording now.
Thank you.
Thank you.